In 1836, three young boys stumbled upon a strange discovery while hunting for rabbit holes on the rocky slopes of Arthur's Seat in Holyrood Park, Edinburgh. They uncovered a small niche, barely a foot wide and deep, hidden behind slate stones. Inside, they found an eerie collection, 17 miniature coffins, each containing a wooden doll, carefully dressed in fabric and laid to rest. These mysterious figurines, later called the Burke and Hare murder dolls, or the fairy coffins, sparked a wave of intrigue. Many believed they symbolized the 17 victims of William Burke and William Hare, two infamous murderers who sold fresh corpses to Dr. Knox at the University of Edinburgh for dissection in the late 1820s. But the truth behind these miniature coffins remains one of Edinburgh's most chilling mysteries. To understand the connection, we must revisit the grim tale of Burke and Hare. These Irish immigrants struck a macabre partnership in the 1820s. When a tenant in Hare's boarding house died of natural causes, the duo sold his body to Dr. Knox for a handsome profit. Realizing the financial potential, they resorted to murder, claiming 17 victims in total. In 1829, they were caught. Hare turned king's evidence, securing his freedom by testifying against Burke. Burke was executed, and his body ironically became a subject of dissection, a fitting end to his crimes. But what about the dolls? Who created them, and why? The coffins, made of Scots pine, were about 4 inches long, carved from solid wood with lids nailed down using brass pins. Each contained a doll dressed in cotton clothes, laid out with intricate details resembling a formal burial. Analysis of the fabric and threads dates them to the early 19th century, aligning with the timeline of the murders. A report in the Scotsman described the craftsmanship as meticulous, noting the tin ornaments on the lids and the dolls' human-like features. However, their purpose remains a subject of speculation. One theory suggests that the coffins were a symbolic burial for Burke and Hare's victims, crafted by someone with knowledge of their crimes. Guilt or religious motives might have driven this act. Another theory ties them to sailors lost at sea or ancient Celtic rituals, involving magic or voodoo practices. Alternatively, they could have been made as souvenirs of the murders, hidden away for posterity. Curiously, all the dolls are male, dressed in men's attire, despite most of Burke and Hare's victims being women. This discrepancy raises questions about whether the dolls were related to the murders at all. Historian Jeff Nisbet proposed another theory, that the coffins honored participants in the Radical War of 1820, a populist uprising for workers' rights in Scotland. Could one of the murderers have crafted the coffins? Perhaps Hare, guilt-ridden after Burke's trial, created and placed them as a tribute. But this seems unlikely as he fled Edinburgh soon after Burke's execution. Others speculate that the dolls predated the murders, linked instead to Dr. Knox or someone else close to the killers. Interestingly, the coffins were arranged in 3 layers, with varying degrees of decomposition. The bottom layer of 8 coffins was the most weathered, while the topmost coffin appeared relatively new, leading some to believe they were placed over time. But why the sudden stop at 17? Of course, not everyone believes in the authenticity of the dolls. Some argue the discovery was an elaborate hoax, citing the lack of first-hand testimony from the boys who found them. Others wonder why the boys didn't return to search for the remaining destroyed figurines once they realized their value. After their discovery, the surviving 8 coffins passed through several hands before ending up at the National Museum of Scotland in 1901. Today they remain on display, captivating visitors and fueling speculation about their origins. The mystery of the Burke and Hare murder dolls endures. Were they a tribute to victims, a symbolic gesture of guilt, or something entirely unrelated? Perhaps we'll never know. But in their eerie silence, these miniature coffins continue to remind us of Edinburgh's dark past, inviting us to ponder the secrets they still hold.